Welcome to the Time for Heroes podcast.
Hi, I'm Nick Endacott-Gibb and you're listening to Time for Heroes podcast.
Yes, Nick Endacott-Gibb. A fabulous story to tell about your kind of journey into music and kind of a journey of discovery of sorts as well. What I like to do is go right back to the start. So what was life like for a young Nick Endacott-Gibb growing up?
Well, growing up, when I was in the countryside, I was adopted at 18 months old by a lovely family, and so I was in the woods every day, which was I was singing since I was 6, and as soon as I could, really, I picked a guitar up, and I was about 9 years old, drums, taught myself, and a bit of bass as well, and you know, since I can remember, I wanted to really write music and play music, and yeah, so my whole life really has been a journey of music and creativity. Always loved it, always had a passion for it. Yeah, it's been a love of my life all my life.
And without going too far into it too soon, obviously, where did the kind of the musical background come from? Because I believe that your kind of adopted family weren't so much musical. So how did you kind of discover your musical love to start?
Well, I never knew where it came from because my adopted family weren't musical at all. But I had this passion for it, and always knew I was adopted, so there's no secret there, you know. And excuse me. And my adoptive family were always supportive if I ever wanted to find out. But there wasn't a lot of information. I had my birth mother's name and roughly the area I was born and the home that I went into, and you didn't really know anything until only recently, where I was able to find my birth mother a few years ago, and really the story, it started basically there where she told me who my father was, which was someone else. After getting to know him for a couple of years, we did a test and he's not my father, and I eventually found out from her sister. She said that she knows who it is if it's not him, and she then told me it was Maurice Gibb. So not really any help from my birth mother. She didn't seem to know anything. She said it's always been the other guy, and it was a long journey. I wrote to the family, the Gibb family. Didn't really get any response other than Maurice's widow, Yvonne, her lawyer, wrote to me and said that she'd considered a test with Adam, Maurice's son, but decided not to. We'll let you know, sort of thing. So I wanted to know, not only, I was getting older, not only for my identity and everything, but also for my health.
Yeah.
So I just researched, me and my partner researched for many years until putting my DNA on it, all the sites we could think of, to see if I matched with anyone. And eventually I put my DNA on Ancestry.com, which is quite, I think from 2016 you could from the UK, but before that you couldn't. It was only in 2019 I found out that you could, you know, put your DNA on there. So I did, and straight away I matched with Adam Gibb, who was on there as, you know, 100% half sibling, plus other cousins around the world in the Gibb family. So I finally got the confirmation.
And so, I mean, even going back a bit then, like when your mum said this is your father, and obviously you connected with this guy for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So how was that then? Do you still have any contact with that guy? Because obviously you'll have built some sort of relationship. So
yeah,
how's that now?
Well, he knew through his life that he had a son somewhere, and when we connected, he was great. We did some music together, and he was great. He was open arms. But when we found out that he wasn't my father, he was still good. He had said, look, if there's anything I can do to try and help, I'll try and think back to then. And, you know, he couldn't really help much, but he was there willing to help if he could. And yeah, we stayed in contact for a while. We're not in contact anymore, but we stayed friends for quite a bit afterwards, and he tried to help as much as he could.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, it must be hard for both him and yourself, because you get that bond and you think, oh, this is my father, this is my son. So it must be hard to comprehend that you've been getting to know these people for X amount of time, and then it's not the case.
Yeah, I presumed I trusted her that it was him. That's why we never did a test initially.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, we just decided that shall we just do this, you know? And I always did wonder that, you know, he was he wasn't very tall, and he was blonde. He wasn't dark featured like me. I mean, I'm not tall, but he it sort of we started to question and think, well, maybe we should do a test. And it was quite a shock, and for both of us to get to know each other for 2 years, and and work together, do some music together. Yeah, it was quite a shock, and really it was a case of getting back to my birth mother and trying to find some answers, really. And she didn't have any. She said it's always been him. So I wasn't really getting anywhere with her, and it was only when I connected with her sister that then she said, look, there's only one other guy around. I mean, we're talking 1967 here, so
Yeah.
this was, Morris was only 17. It was before Lulu. It was just a little one of those little flings. She was in the music industry. She was a studio manager. She knew everybody. So it was one of those things. That happened. Summer of love.
Yeah.
But she was convinced it was this other guy. So even when her sister said it was Morris, she still denied that. But yeah, it took a long time to get the confirmation. But when I did, everything made sense for me. I got closure. I knew my identity. But unfortunately, at the same time, the same week, I also got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which is in the family as well. And that's been a real burden. It's been hard for me. It gives you really bad fatigue, as well as joint pain and all that kind of stuff, and the medication you have to take. It's not good. But double whammy in the same week.
Yeah.
But at least I got my closure. I got my identity, and I was wanting medical records. I was wanting to know about my health, and I got answers there too.
Yeah, and the other thing that you mentioned, obviously, like when you contacted Yvonne and the reluctance to do the test. So once you came back to them with the kind of evidence that you were in fact 100% match, how did that go down then? And were you kind of open? Were you let in with open arms after that?
Well, there's still been no connection with them. I've connected with Leslie Gibb, their elder sister, Leslie Evans, their elder sister, and her daughter Debbie. We've connected. Do some music together.
Mm-hmm.
I have done in the past. We connected beginning of lockdown, so she's in Australia. That part of the family is in Australia, and I haven't really had much connection with anyone else in the family yet, but I did match with quite a few cousins on there, and got to know some cousins in Manchester as well.
Right. So I mean, going back a bit then, like, so what was your kind of life like before that? Obviously, you've had a career in music. So how did the kind of career in music begin?
Well, I've always been doing it, really. It's just a case of always writing music, always being involved with various different projects and bands through the years, singing whenever I could. I've always had a passion of singing and harmonies. When I was 6, I was in a choir until I was 14, and that really was, I loved it because of the harmonies.
Mm-hmm.
And then my voice broke, and wanting to go off and write music with other people and play and perform. So it's just something I've always done, really. The production side of it I've always loved as well. Which was a love of Morris's. I've always had that. The studio environment, I love being in the studio. I've through the years worked with lots of people and produced people, and recorded with people and played with a lot of people at festivals, and it's just been something I've always done, always loved doing.
And what sort of, like, the music that you make, what how would you describe that for the listeners and the viewers? Like, what sort of style are you most renowned for?
I've had rock bands, I've had acoustic duos. I think really my love of music, I do love the rock side of stuff, but really my passion has been ballads. Whenever I write a song, it's always about love. Even when I try and write about something else,
Yeah.
it always seems to go that way, and it's something I feel a lot. I feel I love emotion and songs that really connect with people. When Debbie and I got first together doing some music, we did a version of Tragedy, which became a heartfelt piano strings version, really quite different. And then we wrote a couple of songs together, which again are ballad based. We've got plans to do other things, lots of other things, but I've always had a love of ballads and emotional, heartfelt music, really.
Mm-hmm. And like listening to some of it, like I listened to Tragedy and then I listened to the other couple of songs as well. They have got that ballad feel. They
Yeah,
feel like they could be in Titanic, see like the film.
yeah.
One of the songs sounded quite like similar to Celine Dion, for instance.
Well, there's one which is there's the Irish whistle on it. It's quite a Christmassy feeling type of song. It's not necessarily a Christmas song, but we felt after, we got it together that hey, this is really like feels Christmassy. So yeah, there's that one. It's got that feel on there. But I've always had a love of strings as well, piano and strings. I love putting strings together in arrangements. That's always been a love of mine as well, But although I'm, really I've been guitar and voice, all my life, writing on the guitar, playing guitar and singing. I do have a love of strings and piano, even though I don't really play piano that much, but I do like, getting that kind of thing together in songs. Definitely adding strings.
So, like, what sort of influences? What was your kind of like early days? What was the music that you were listening to? And like, kind of specifically, like, obviously, as you move forward and you discovered who your parents were, was the Bee Gees ever a thing when you were younger?
Well, I remember when I suppose I was about 11 when Tragedy came out, around that sort of age. I just remember thinking, wow, what an immense song. It was the production that got me. Even at that age, that's how I heard things, the sounds that they were using, it was such a big sounding song and sounded incredible. When I first heard it on the radio, I couldn't believe how it sounded. I never really got into the Bee Gees as a fan. I liked lots of different sorts of music. For me, being a musician, if it sounded good, to me, I liked it. It didn't really matter who it was. I did like some of their songs. I did appreciate the production and the writing, but now more so, I really have much more of appreciation of their songs now. But at the time, I was into lots of different things. 50s music, 60s music, Buddy Holly, Elvis, and then through to the Beatles. I've always had a love of 60s music, but just really anything that sounded good to me, I liked.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when you think back to all these bands that you liked, I mean, probably a lot of them were rubbing shoulders with your dad and that,
Yeah,
which you didn't know at the time.
yeah, not only that, when he 70s when he married Yvonne, they got married in Haywards Heath, which is where I used to live on the Ashdown Forest in Sussex. That was just up the road, and there's me in my youth playing in the forest in the 70s, and he bought a house in Danehill, which was 7 miles away from where I was living.
That's mental.
Out of anywhere in the world, my real father that I didn't know about was 7 miles away when I was growing up. That's just, you couldn't make it up.
Obviously, like at the time when you found out, when are we talking? Was it 20? What year was it?
2019.
Right, and was that round about? I think your dad had died at the start of the year. Is that correct?
He Morris passed 2003. That's when I initially made contact with my birth mother.
Right, uh-huh.
So yeah, unfortunately, he never knew. Apparently, he never knew about me, and unfortunately, never got to know about me. And I never got to know him, which is sad. Yeah, unfortunately, it was. Yeah, he died before, or around the time I'd only just met my birth mother.
Yeah, 'cause I'm sure that if he'd met you, he'd have been so proud that you were also involved in music, and I mean there'd be that connection there straight away.
It'd have been lovely to be able to talk about music with him and share all of that. That would have been incredible.
And when you kind of connected with Deborah, how quickly then did it kind of turn for kind of meeting your cousin? How did that turn into collaborating in music?
Well, we were remotely sending each other's files and working together for all through the lockdown. So Really, we've known each other 5 years, but had never met until recently. I had a surprise ticket arranged for me to go and meet my biological family for the first time over in Australia. I met Leslie and met Debbie finally, and yeah, it was a very emotional, overwhelming experience. I couldn't believe I was actually there. I couldn't believe I was with them, and other cousins I met as well, other first cousins. It was really, really a big emotional experience for me. Once in a lifetime experience. It's really hard to explain what that's like when you don't,
It must be so
when
overwhelming.
you're related to people and you've never met them.
Recording Tragedy, then, what was the discussions behind that? Was that always going to be kind of the go-to song to record? And how did you come to the kind of conclusion to record it in the kind of manner you did and the style that you did?
Well, we thought, we'd like to do a Bee Gees song, really, in homage to the family and our connection. And I was just thinking, I wonder which song we could do, but sort of do it, approach it differently, what would work. And I was just thinking of various songs, and Tragedy just kept coming into my mind because, again, like I said, I remembered it. It's one of the ones I remember so vividly from when I was younger, and how it affected me, what a great song it was. And just listening through to the lyrics, I thought, hold on, these lyrics are so poignant. I want to bring those lyrics out. This could really work if we slowed it down, made it more of a ballad sounding song with just very sparse instrumentation, just piano, some strings, and there's this guy Dom Kelly who's done a lot of the Pyro music. Connected with him, and he did some oboe on there for us, and we just kept it very, very sparse really, and turned it into a duet, a heartfelt ballad. And as soon as we got the idea together, we both immediately thought, wow, hold on, I think we're onto something here. If this really works like we think it might, this could really be, a different version and something we could put our own stamp on, So it just evolved really from those ideas.
What sort of reaction did you get for that, for like fans and listeners? Obviously,
Yeah,
did you get a big kind of crossover of Bee Gees fans coming?
There was a lot, very, good response, good positive response from a lot of fans. Of course, there are fans that, don't want any of the songs changed. And I agree, you shouldn't really, the songs are what they are, and respect that, the talent and the writing behind, you've got to always keep that in mind. But it was something we just wanted to do together as a bit of a one-off and see if it would work. And I think a lot of fans did think, no, I don't like that. It's not what we know, and that's fair enough. Mm-hmm. But generally, it was positive. Generally, it was wow. What this no one's done anything like this before.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you're recording that for yourself as well. I'd imagine it's in some way it's kind of therapeutic.
It was a lovely thing to do. It was our first thing. It gave us something together to work on, which connected with our family, and was just it was a very, very beautiful song. A very beautiful version. We enjoyed it. We really enjoyed doing it, and it was sort of like I say, it evolved into what it became, and we loved every part of it, the process of it. We're really happy with it, and I think it bonded us together for them future writing. Definitely, yeah.
Like fast forward to now, this year, the Best of the Bee Gees. Just checking them out, they've been going for 27 years.
Yeah.
They come to England this year on their tour. Yourself and Deborah will be joining them on stage.
Yeah, Debbie's been with them for, I think, nearly a couple of years now as a guest singer with them. And she mentioned me to them, and I was contacted by the producer, and then it was all arranged to sort of meet my family, and if I wanted to sing a couple of songs in some of the shows they had while I was there, and I did, and I managed to then, it gave me an opportunity to sing a ballad with Debbie, 1st of May, which was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they've got now some more shows coming up. They've got a 4-date, some shows in the autumn this year where they're coming over, and asked if I wanted to be involved. And absolutely, please. It's an amazing show. They are all top level musicians. They're all lovely people. Say they've been friends of the family for a long time, and it's when they start a show, suddenly you're putting on a Bee Gees record. It is so. They are so good at what they do, and I've never heard anything like it. There's lots of tribute bands out there. There's lots of tribute bands, Bee Gees, ABBA, and all of that, and they're all pretty good at what they do. But particularly this show, I was absolutely overwhelmed of how good they were. I couldn't believe how it sounded. It's like you're listening to. It's like you're seeing the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
It's an incredible show.
I think somebody described them basically as the equivalent of like the bootleg Beatles.
Well, yeah, I've played with the bootleg Beatles before in the past.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, they were top of their game. Yeah, really good. I not actually seeing other Bee Gees tributes particularly. I've heard them, seen them online, and that kind of thing. But these guys have got something special. They're the only ones actually endorsed by the family, by the Gibb family, and the only ones now that have members of the family involved. They did have Colin Peterson on drums for a while until he sadly passed recently. They're just top of the game, and they really think special. I've never heard or seen anything like it.
I mean, no, the fact they've been going 27 years says it all.
Yeah. Looking
at the Bee Gees, obviously started out in 1965 and they went to around about 2001. I mean, this band is catching up on the time frame that the actual Bee Gees went for.
Well, the good thing about this show is that it's the greatest. So it's the greatest hits. There's old songs, newer songs, all through the years, plus other songs they wrote for other people in there. Immortality, Emotion, Grease. There's such a varied amount of songs in there through the years. That's what makes it such a good show, because you've got such a varied amount of different parts of their writing, different parts of the eras.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds amazing. It sounds like you're going to have a ball on that. As I say, there are 4 dates. I've seen Portsmouth, which is the other places. I think it's all kind of down south, isn't it?
Well, there's Portsmouth, Bath, Cambridge and Northampton. So yeah.
And that's kicking off in September, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so anybody that wants to go and see the best of the Bee Gees, as I say, 27 years going, so the finest Bee Gees tribute band with Deborah McLean and our guest Nick Endacott-Gibb. Check out, I'll put all your I'll put all the stuff for people to go and ticket links and stuff. But so what else is happening then in your life now, other than that? What else have you got going on?
Well, at the moment, it's a case of I've got my studio here. The plan really for me, on that side of things, but the plan for me really is to work on some perhaps some other Bee Gees songs with Debbie, and see if we can put a little EP together of some of the older songs and put that out. That's the plan at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. I'd like to hear some more of the covers. I think they go down well. Yeah, so I mean that leads us on probably to the last part of the podcast. Obviously, it's called Time for Heroes, as you can see here.
Yeah.
I asked my guests to pick 4 heroes to come for dinner. Why are they your heroes, and what would you cook for them?
And what would I cook?
And they can be dead or alive. They can be any walk of life you want. They can be musicians. They can be sports. Whatever takes your fancy in life.
I think Jimi Hendrix, definitely. Elvis, and I think I'd have to say Stephen Wilson, who is alive. Love to have a chat with him about music. And who else? Yeah, I think John Lennon. Whether they'd all get on, I don't know, but
yeah.
And I think I would cook them a green Thai curry.
Lovely.
And I don't know whether they'd all like it, but yeah, I do make a mean green Thai.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, like John Lennon, you can imagine I'm like nearly 150 episodes in, and John Lennon's the most picked. Jimi Hendrix, not so much. A couple of episodes ago, I had Keith Dion, who has he's helped me with the court case for Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding, because royalties that they've not received for Spotify and stuff like that. So we had a good chat about Jimi Hendrix on that.
Yeah.
It's mesmerising to me that kind of Jimi Hendrix hasn't picked more in this podcast.
Yeah.
But
Well, you know, one of the greats, influenced so many people and so many musicians through the years. Yeah.
and there's so many stories. There's that myth about the parakeets in London, isn't there?
There's the what, sorry?
Parakeets, the parakeets in London, they were brought over by Jimi Hendrix, and he let them loose, and then that's how there's this population of parakeets in London.
Right, I didn't know that story. That's
Apparently,
interesting.
I'll need to Google that again in case I've got it wrong, but
Yeah.
Amazing guests.
Yeah.
It's been great speaking to yourself today. I'm going to have a look at the best of the Bee Gees, see if I can get down south. I mean, I've done that way usually in the summer, so I'll see if I can get back down.
Yeah. It's going to be an incredible show. Yeah, it's going to be a really good show. You know, I've seen, audiences after their shows going away with, as though they've seen the Bee Gees. They know it's not the Bee Gees, but they're going away. They've made their evening. They've made their day, to see them. And that's special. I think if someone can come and see you and then leave afterwards and go home with something, that's a special thing. So many people were coming away absolutely, so overcome and so amazed how good it was and so happy that they got to see them. And yeah, it's a show.
Yeah, totally. Nick, it's been amazing speaking to you today. You've been a cracking guest. It's been lovely to hear your story.
Thank you, Martin.
All the best with what happens the rest of the year, and hopefully you have a wee uplift with the arthritis, and hopefully you're able to get working again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to get in touch, please contact me on the email timeforheroespod@gmail.com, or you can get me on Instagram at timeforheroespodcast. Thanks very much. We'll be back soon with another episode.